Uh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of River City 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr. And joining me on today's show is a lady who has lost her voice defending the Red Army, and Matt, who more or less is like, what is a shot on goal? We're kind of lost at that point. How are y'all doing?
My voice has been better. My spirits have been better. So overall, I'd say solid 3, 4 out of 10.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
No more shot at glory, right?
Yeah.
We're done there. Also, stupid competition anyway. Who cares about it?
We've been saying this.
2 games left. We'll talk about what will be the kickers' outlook on the tournament going forward. How will they approach the upcoming games? I think we got Spokane and Tormenta in those 2 matches. So
Sure.
we'll see. Really just start off with, man, it's not, the spirits aren't great. Like, I think it was you, Matt, who mentioned, like, we didn't even do stand up for Richmond at the end of the game, and that's like a staple. And you could just, I don't know, man. Like,
the 9 minutes of stoppage that they.
All right, first of all, that ref was trolling.
Didn't help.
that ref was trolling. There's no way you can tell me. I don't know where he found 9 minutes in that game. And even at the 90th minute, 2-0. No, I don't need 9 minutes of this. Like, give me 4, 5 at the max. Get everyone out here safely. That man was trolling. Yeah, but yeah, man, like, the vibes right now just don't feel great. Like, and I was telling y'all earlier, like, all the good momentum from the Henny Derby has gone out the window. Like, can we just go back to that? Can we just go back to, like, can we just have that save point file, that save file, and just start from there again and retry these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the question coming out of that is, had that win, it felt like, okay, could this be a momentum changer? And they all went on vacation and didn't come back.
No. It's been the luau. What was it? Tiki
Beach
something.
night.
Yeah. Which I'm starting to wonder. Like, I know the Red Army was talking about doing beach night for the night team anyway, and then I saw the front office start pushing it, and I was wondering, like, did the front office mean to have it on this night, or was it just like coincidence?
I think that was pre-planned. Like, because the front office like laid out all the stuff at the beginning of the year. I think it's the fans hopped on that theme rather than vice versa.
Probably so. Yeah, but it seems like the players as well went on vacation and some just didn't come back. Mostly the defense, which.
Hold on. Let's give the offense their due too. They scored 1 goal, which was a Emmy self-created back heel.
Yeah.
Since then,
it's been a struggle the last 2 weeks, which is, I mean, not hard to say. This team hasn't been great, but it's starting to be hilarious. Like, what are we, 15, 16 games in, and we haven't dumb looked our way into a clean sheet yet? Like, we came close, and then we gave up a goal like in like the 90th minute to get rid of that clean sheet. But yeah, we haven't been great on defense. And starting to look at last night's game, there was no Nathan Ani, no Guy Franca in the back line. Instead, you had James Vaughn, Griffin Garnett, Also, by the way, Griffin has completely destroyed my minutes played prediction. Thank you for that, Griffin Garnett. I feel very proud of that. I didn't think you would be starting.
Yeah, that's not the way you thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, no, I did not. I thought it was going to be spread across like Beckett, Landon, and all the rest of the babies. But no, it's just all Griffin. He is a grown man. He's a grown man at 17 years old. I'm pretty sure he has a mortgage and a family and 4 kids by now, playing as many USL League One games. He played at center back. Then you had Dak. You had the 2 wing backs. You had Simon, Maxey. We see a midfield of Zaka and Chandler Dwyer. And then the front 3 that we were all excited for of Neil, Bihar, and Emmy with Ryan Shallow and goal. And on paper, I had concerns about James, particularly that left center back spot, just because of the pace and knowing how Greenville, this isn't the Greenville team of old that we used to think of, they want to sit back and they want to counter and just, no, this team can go. You got Sebastian Vasquez, McKinnon, other players that can, be dynamic. So I was a little bit concerned for that space, but overall, it felt like a game in which we can push it into extra time. We can get it to penalties and whatnot. I don't know if that was the thinking going into it. What was there thinking behind having Vaughn and Dak back there as the 2 center backs?
Well, 3 center backs.
Yeah, I'm trying to say Will Griffin back there.
Yeah, I get it, and I don't think it didn't work with James. I thought he was perfectly fine back there. In the role he was playing, kind of like the left sided center back, because he's not the fleetest of foot, right? I think we can agree on that. But he's good at seeing the game. He's good at being able to pass the ball around. He's certainly one of the more vocal guys on the team, so he can be able to maybe slide back there and kind of quarterback the defense a little bit more. You'd be able to have somebody that Griffin could be right next to, and you'd be able to kind of help him out in those moments. You'd be able to help him see, okay, hey, step, drop over here, step here, blah blah blah. So I thought it went, that experiment went pretty well actually, and I didn't mind it because he doesn't have as much direct territory to cover there either. So he can be able to handle the few sprint backs that you have to do in that position, and we were able to get, I think, probably more minutes out of him than a lot of other games. It's usually he's one of those guys who gets subbed out in the midfield for Joao or Chandler Zach or whoever isn't starting, and I think he went almost the whole game before Guy came in for him.
Yeah, he did some things well out there. Definitely the distribution out the back and him pairing up with Maxey was actually more pleasant than I thought it would be. Also, is it fair to say Maxey is just a wild stallion out there? He's like a 34-year-old savant. I'm actually pleasantly surprised because so in the offseason when we got Maxey, I truly thought Maxey was just going to be fouling people. He was going to be Zaka on steroids, just fouling everyone. He's actually been very well on that left side to be 34 years old.
He also, we've said, I'll give him credit for this. We've often said, can somebody just try something, maybe, on occasion? Yeah. And I'll give him his due. He is willing to try anything. Sometimes, that bicycle kick against Madison was pretty audacious. He's not shy about taking shots from outside the box. It's more of a problem when they just all start to become lower quality shots. And shots off target consistently, but I have said on the pod, can somebody try shooting? And he is willing to try. And that's more than you can say for some of the other players at times. So it's better than no one ever shooting the ball ever, which we've seen in some stretches.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that. So obviously we can sit here and we'll talk about the negatives, which, there are some negatives to this game that we can talk about, but I think we can try to pull some positives out of this game for y'all. Like, is there any player that had a positive performance or, think like, all right, cool. Like, as a whole, the game was bad, but they weren't a contributing force to that. The only two I can think of is Bill Hart, Shallow.
I thought Emmy was good.
Yeah,
Like
Emmy as well.
he's you're starting to see him really rounding to form, whether that's being able to be that outlet that drops back and is able to collect the ball and buy the midfield and defenders even that extra second they need to be able to get out of the defense. Being able to make some of those cutting runs, whether that's have the ball played to him or to open up space for somebody else. I think he just sees the game better than the other options that we have, and it helps Neil, helps Bill Hart, it helps whoever else might be out there, even helps the space for Maxi to be able to get open on the left wing and have those acres of space. And didn't finish his one big golden chance in this game, but if you say, hey, we're going to get that chance once a game, I'm picking Emmy every single time to be the one to get to take that, and I think more often than not it's going to find the net. So keeper made a good save, happens sometimes, but I think Emmy's played well and continuing to find his form, which it sounds a little funny to say after he scored in his other two starts and didn't score in this one, but I thought this might have actually been the better performance.
Yeah, this felt like a classic Emmy performance. Like, he was kind of all over the place in the attacking field. Like, he didn't drop back as much as he used to, and I think that's probably because now you have Neil and Bill Hart who can do a little bit more of that for him. But as far as him like linking up, you can tell like him, Bill Hart, and Neil are all on the same page. Especially like on the ball that Bill Hart played that split like I think 2 or 3 Greenville players to create the chance for Emmy. Like, you can tell there's the communication between them is building, right? I just want to see more of those chances, and I guess like this is part of my frustration with last night games, kind of overall with the season. It hasn't been good enough attacking wise because it feels like a lot of the time where this team can go for it and be direct, it's almost like they have to put the handbrake on and slow up the attack, and it's no problem having possession. Like, you can have possession, you can have good possession. The problem comes with the team is they have good possession, they have the ball in good areas. The issue comes they overcook it, right? Because I think there was a chance in front of Section O where we had the corner, the ball went in the box, he got switched to the other side of the box. It seemed like it was a chance, but then he over dribbled and he killed the chance, and then they had to play it back, and Greenville was able to recover, right? Whereas, like, if you take that opportunity maybe 2 or 3 steps earlier, you can then, put the goalkeeper under pressure from an attacking standpoint. But yeah, that's just what I see from this attack. Like, it just feels like too many times we don't play direct enough to cause the defense issues. But when we do, like we do in the second goal, you see what happens.
Yeah, I think like sort of twofold. Like, the first is just the basic chemistry that obviously Bill Hart, Vinyals, and Terzaghi are still building. Like, they have played 3 games together, which is not very much when you've got 3 sort of players who are game changers unto themselves. They have to work together. They can't just do it themselves, but like working collaboratively and not just as that sort of like game changer role. And I think also we've been playing for almost a full year without a striker who's good with their feet. So the fact that we don't have to send hopeful balls in or like exclusively try to get balls out of the air, actually having a target striker who's good at their feet, I'm hoping that chemistry, once that chemistry builds between the 3 of them, there's the instinct to play it quickly comes back, because there's actually a striker who can control the ball in a crowded space and still manage to create a half yard, get a shot off, or pick another pass to another player making a run. Whereas I don't think the strikers who've been either filling in or just playing the part themselves are as good with their feet, and so they haven't been an outlet in the way Emmy can in more crowded spaces. Because there were a lot of really great where they picked the ball up on near the midfield line, played a couple passes, and played a long crossfield ball onto the wing back, making a run in. And instead of the ball quickly getting played to someone in the middle or across the box, that player slowed it down, turned back to goal. The ball gets played back around the box, like looking for like the perfect pass instead of just working quickly. Once that space has been created, that player is making the run and being able to pick that final pass.
Yeah, for real. So yeah, I mean that's one of the major things. You also look at it. It felt like the first half, like this game was evenly matched. Like it felt like both teams were kind of, I wouldn't even say testing each other, but it felt like both teams were. I don't know.
They just felt content.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like it wasn't anything dangerous. It didn't feel like either goalkeeper was really on the chance. Like I think we both looked at each other, was just like, yo, I don't think any goalkeeper got tested. Like Shallow had maybe 2 free kicks, one right inside the D that went over the bar, and then one right into his chest. Greenville goalkeeper had to get low, and he puts Maxi Chance out for a corner. But outside of that, like I don't think there was anything really, really dangerous. So when it felt like in the second half, it felt like, all right, cool. Like we're probably going to see more of the same. If Richmond can avoid getting beat on the counter, FYI, they didn't. It felt like this game was going to go to PKs, in which, honestly, given the result of Charlotte and Tormenta, I never checked to see, did Tormenta finish? Did Tormenta win?
They won on penalties, yeah.
So there you go. So that would have helped our chances if we would have gone to PKs. But yeah. Anything else from the first half from y'all that y'all saw that caught your attention, or anyone else that stood out?
Kickers are often worse when they have more possession. The first half was 50-50 or 49-51. The numbers looked a lot different in the second half. So the trend of the more possession this team has, or the more the other team allows you to have possession and sit back, play a lower block, the less successful this team is at breaking them down.
Yeah. Just to bring that out, like first half we had 49% possession. They had 51. We had no shots on target. They had 1. Second half, that flip, we had 57% possession. They had 43. We had 2 shots on target to their 4. Yeah.
Yeah, first half was boring.
Yeah. And I'm trying to make sure I wasn't glazing over it, but it just didn't.
But being boring was somehow better for the Kickers' game plan. And then as soon as they actually had to, the pressure was more on them. So they tried to, turn the screw, I guess, possess more. And turns out that pretty much always plays into the other teams. It's so much easier to score on a stretch defense than it is on a compact defense.
Yeah. And this team got strength in the second half because, look, Griffin Garnett, second half, he got bullied. Like, if you go look at the first goal, the ball comes in. It feels like he overcommits to it, and like he's trying to recover, but he loses the physical battle there. And then as that's happening, you have Vaughn and Dak both drop back, like as they should, right? Because it's a 3-man center back. But you want that man in the middle to be like the one kind of winning those aerial battles or stepping up and winning those battles. Griffin loses his battle, so those 2 center backs have to drop deep. As that's happening, no other Kickers player really tracks back to even cut out the chance. Like Maxi's out out of position. O'Dwyer, Zaka are nowhere near the picture. And the kickers get cut open on a counterattacking chance. Like it's pretty much like the no-code goal all over again. Where it's 3 passes. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 passes that end up in the back of the net.
Yeah, but for me, it starts with Griffin. Like, you're not on the yellow card yet. He just got bodied. Right, pretty much right at the midfield dot. That's where okay, bear hug the dude, take your yellow card, let the team
He was
reset.
already on the yellow card.
I don't think he was.
Didn't he wasn't the one who picked it up in the first half?
I thought it was Dakota.
In like the 8th minute. Oh.
I thought it was that. Wait, we'll check it. I mean, if that's the case, then I understand why Griffin doesn't take that foul there.
Sure.
But still, like you shouldn't even have to be in position to take that foul. Your body position should be a little bit better there, I feel like.
You're right. It was Dakota. Okay, yeah. Then Griffin has no excuse.
Yeah. So, like, once you start to notice, the guys, turning you, hook them, grab a shirt, do what you got to do, but he's not going any farther. He's going, down to the ground at that point, one way or another. And yeah, you're getting done a little bit dirty then because you didn't have the help, to be able to cover you anyway. But that happens sometimes when you're a defender. Like, yellow cards don't have to be bad things. I think a lot of people get the idea that, like, oh, yellow card, you must have made a mistake. Now, sometimes taking a yellow card is, the good practical, move, and that's the time you got to be able to do it, and you got to be able to recognize that situation. But otherwise, yeah, like all that other stuff you said, like it's a 3-on-2 at that point. It's a training, drill, and you gotta hope that Dak or James can get a little bit lucky with the stray pass that they can be able to get a toe on or something. But when executed well, which credit to them, Greenville did, like more often than not, that's going to at least go on target, if not in the goal. And yeah, Anderson had a relatively easy finish at that point.
Yeah, that was and my overall frustration, man, with that is just like I've seen enough out of this team, like the defensive effort. And this is just me. Like, my philosophy can be 100% wrong. And, I'm not like an established soccer coach. There's a reason why I'm not a soccer coach. I'm a podcaster. But to me, like, it takes effort to play defense. Like, you have to want to play defense, right? Like, everybody can go be an attacker. Everyone wants to be an attacker. Everyone wants to be forward, right? But, like, it takes something inside of you to be a defender. And you can see it, man. As soon as that ball gets past Griffin, you see guys just automatically, like, pointing, yelling, like, but no one's tracking back, like, trying to hunt down the ball, or trying to, like, get in there and make sure this opportunity and chance doesn't happen. Dak and Vaughn, like, they're in no man's land. There's not much they can do outside of just be movable cones at that point. So I'm not blaming them. But, like, the midfield, like, I don't know if it's just down to, like, we don't have speed or they got caught flat-footed, but if feel like they got flat-footed and they was expecting Griffin to win it and he didn't, and they weren't just, like, anticipating the best. Maxey was nowhere near his man that scored the goal. Like, he was 20 yards behind him. And it's like, if you go back and watch the clip, like, as soon as Griffin gets beat and the ball gets played forward, Maxey is sitting there kind of like in third gear, like pointing, like, hey, instead of just running straight and trying to hunt down his man, because we seen Maxey go full speed and he can catch people, and he didn't. It just feels as if, like, I'll say that point for later. But yeah, this goal was just frustrating. It's something we've seen abundance of times over and over again. Like, this team just gets beat very easily on counterattacking chances. Like, they just get pulled out of position and you get beat, and nobody steps out or tries to eliminate the chance.
Yeah, I mean, don't know if anything else can be said about that. I mean, I think maybe what you're going towards is like that effort, like almost like defense has to have that mentality of, and this is certainly not universal, of course, but I like to, and maybe this is just me being a defender growing up, and that's why I think this way. But defenders, hating to lose more than they like to win.
Yeah.
Because in defense, you do 9 out of 10 successful plays, a little bit of it could potentially be a game changer and a failure. Attack 1 out of 10 successful, you're the hero. Right. So defense, you almost have to challenge yourself to be perfect the whole time and not want kind of get called out that way. And then on the attack, it's good to be kind of like goldfish brain. You forget those other 15 chances you flubbed, 16th one, glory time.
Right. And right before that, like that was when Emmy Chance came from, when we talked about earlier. Like Bill Hart pass couldn't thread it right through the middle, and we've seen it before with the kickers where like if it's always funny, like the kickers are about to score, they don't, and then the other team magically turns into like Ultimate Team FIFA and be like, all right, we're gonna score now. And they do. And it's just like, well, darn it. Like if we would have scored our chance, maybe things are a little bit different. But yeah, and then I think the even more outrageous, I think this is the part. It is so funny because Darren liked the tweet and I felt bad. But this is the closest I've ever came to just walking out of a stadium, like walking out of City Stadium after game. And mind you, I have sat through a 5-0 loss in the middle of the rain. Like,
we've seen some things.
Yeah. This, like, it's a free kick opportunity outside the box, right? And the ball gets cleared. We did good on clearing it. But the only player to step up is Tony Pineda. Like, if you go back and watch the clip, Chandler stands there like he just ran, like he just got tired of playing defense, and his arms just kind of sling to the side. He stands flat-footed. The rest of the defenders are flat-footed. Tony's the only one to have the present mind to like, yo, I should step forward and try to put my body in front of this to try to at least throw him off. Like, you're not gonna get there. You're not gonna get there quick enough to like physically touch him, right? I get that, but at least step up and make your body a barrier to the goal. And he just bangs it into the top left corner, and it's like, I realize I'm saying a lot of this off an emotion, but like we've seen the trend of this where defensively, I just haven't seen the effort, and it has not been good enough. Like one of the things that I used to praise Darren for was the defensive tenacity of this team. Like, Matt, how many times in the past have we talked about, this team will foul you at the top of the D? Like, they'll rather foul you there than at least give you an opportunity to change. And I feel like that is all gone. Like, that effort, I haven't seen it. Like, and now we're going into the 15th game without a clean sheet? And yeah,
more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, more than that. But we're talking about like what? The only clean sheet we've seen is the Open Cup game against Christos
and Loudon.
Okay, yeah, Loudon. And those are both Open Cup games, but it's like, y'all, like, what are we doing here? So I'm going to ask y'all this question. Like, to me, it comes down to one of three things. Either the coaching staff is aware of it and they can't address the issue properly. They're ignorant to the issue. And I'm not trying to get ignorant in me, like ignorant, like they're not able to identify it. Or the coaching staff and the players are just like, all right, it is what it is. And if it's any one of those three, like, figure it out and fix it. Or at least try to address the issue. Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like this is my personal rant today. I'm sorry.
All right, go for it.
No, it's definitely like, I support Spurs, and one of the big things we've seen in the last year with our new goalkeeper and our upgraded defense is that team celebrates blocking a potential goal just as much as the forwards celebrate scoring one. And they have that mentality that, like, it's equally as important to throw your body on the line and kind of do everything in your power to stop a shot the same way that you do everything in your power to put a shot on frame. And it is kind of frustrating just how I don't know. Because it's frustrating because the goals, we're not scoring enough goals that the team can have the mindset, the best defense is a good offense. Like, we're not producing any goals where we have any offense to earn us results to speak of. So I don't quite understand why it also feels like they're not putting effort in on defense, because even if you don't have the talent, you can always have effort. You can always have discipline and you can have organization. So even if on a player to player level, there's like a skill imbalance or whatever, if you're organized, if you're compact and you work really hard, that earns results. Like, it's not even always about like individual brilliance, like it's about staying organized and compact and focused. And those are all things that, in my opinion, players have control over, regardless of who you're playing. You have control over how well you're organized, control over your personal discipline, control over your focus. So it's frustrating to feel like those are some of the gaps that are starting to show, because what else are you doing? What else is your brain thinking about, if not how well organized you are and how focused you are on the play in front of you? So I think it's frustrating because a lot of defensive flaws are not always have to do with skill, but they have to do with the sort of intangibles. And those are, luckily for most players, some of the easiest things to address, because you don't have to spend 40 minutes a day in the backyard like doing kickups or whatever. Like, you focus on them a little bit more. So I think that's what's frustrating, is that it doesn't have to be a talent issue. It has, you can that's why Man City gets beat by like Burnley on occasion. Is not because Burnley is a better team than Manchester City, but because a well-organized and focused defense can earn you results.
Right.
Yeah, part of me thinks it could just be a mentality issue overall, like in the locker room. Because, like, I don't know, on the field these days, like, who would you say is kind of the like heartbeat, like the emotional heartbeat of the team?
Right now, based on availability,
Or I mean, throughout most of the season, I guess. Like, it doesn't have to be like right this second.
Dak.
Okay.
And Neil, I'd say Neil.
All right, cool. Yeah, and Neil's got the captain's armband. Like, I wouldn't say,
I don't see Neil cussing nobody out or talking to people. He's more like
he's a lead by example guy.
Yeah.
Right. Like in the past, I think the answer would have been a quick and easy Zaka. Right. And he's not that guy this year.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if there just isn't like that internal push and drive. Like, I listen to some of these press conferences after the game, and I keep hearing like, "Oh, it's bad luck. This is bad luck. That," and like, I don't know if it's them just telling themselves that because they really just believe in what they're doing and think that it's working. If it's just it could just be media speak, and that's just the safe answer to not get into anything else, or again, we go back to last year. Like, something turned in that locker room halfway through the year last year. No idea what it was, but bottom fell out at that point. And I don't know if that switch is fully turned back on. Where you have guys out there who flat out just don't want to lose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing that Philly is missing the most. Like, we don't have guys. Like, it doesn't feel like we have a team that will refuse to lose. Like, I go back and think about that Union Omaha game where our Vaughn scored that header like in the last minute. Like, we refused to lose that game, right? Like, I think about those performances, and we see them in sparkles and like the Henny Derby, for instance. Like, that team refused to lose, right? But you can't pull that out all the time. Like, you can't wait on like a 99th minute header to win a game. It's great when it happens, but like, if we were to ask anyone right now, like, what are the defensive principles of the kickers, right? Like, what are the 2 or 3 things that the kickers defensively do great? People will struggle to be like, to give you an answer, right? Like, are we a great low block team?
No, not well organized enough for it.
Are we a high pressing team?
No, because we're not well organized or disciplined enough for it. Caught somewhere in the cursed middle between those 2 things.
Oh, okay. Are we able to play a good low block? I mean, a good mid block? Are we great on counters?
No.
Like,
No.
I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just like, those are the things that you look at. It's like, okay, like, what do we do great defensively and take that and make it our thing, right? So it's like, like, offensively, I can tell you all day, blue in the face, this team can possess. They can. One thing this team does great is that they can hold the ball and they can play it, right? You want, and me just thinking, like, you will want a defensive structure that matches that. And right now, it doesn't feel like the 2 are aligned. Like, you have an offensive structure that's pulling this team in one direction, and then a defensive structure that has just kind of been left in the dust. And I just did the counting while y'all was talking. Do you want to know when our last clean sheet was in the league or in USL?
July 1st or 3rd, whatever day that was, of 23.
Yep. Do you want to know how many games that's been?
Well, 16 after that, and then are we counting cup games?
Yes.
So 34.
37. We have kept 2 clean sheets in 37. 2. We have given up more than 2 goals on multiple occasions. I didn't do the math on that, but I can later. It hasn't been good enough, man. And like, it needs to be addressed. Like,
and I think what's also frustrating is what I said before. Is a lot of the intangibles around a good defense, you have control over them, and they're very easy for teams because, again, the offensive output, especially in this league, it's not Messi, it's not Mbappe. Like, the players themselves have a relatively low cap on just how game-changing they can be because they're playing in this league. Their context is in this league, which means the defensive level required to, on the whole, shut these offenses down is not, you do not have to be the best defensive team in the world in order to perform well at this level. And so it comes down to discipline and to focus. So it just sometimes also feels like they can't, the possession is ultimately meaningless because they're not creating anything. And every team can sit back, and as long as they're organized, they can defend against a team who's possessing. You can just defend. We saw it. That's the reason we didn't win a single game after July of 2023 is because it's actually very easy to defend a team whose only talent is playing high probability completed passes, like around the defensive third. So it's frustrating because we've been saying the same thing for now a year, which is that possessing the ball is meaningless in this league. Like it literally leads. You guys even said last season how many teams that have ever done successfully in playoffs playing a possession-based game. It was like one team in league history has ever had a winning season playing a possession-based style. It just doesn't work. So when you can't commit to a defensive structure and you're changing out your back line every week and you're playing with a back 5 or you're playing with a back 4, and there's also no defensive chemistry being built in any way, where's that organization? Where's that leadership? Where's that coming from when also the players are meant to be switching week to week what defensive structure they're even playing? Like, it's just none of these things. It's actually very simple. Like the answer, because every other team, all 8 teams ahead of us managed to do better than we. It's not rocket science. You have a well-organized defense. They don't even have to be particularly good. They just have to be well-organized. And you shouldn't look to possess the ball 10% more than the team you're playing.
Like, what was it? I think it was the 2020 team. Like that team wasn't special offensively, right? It was probably the same level offensively as this team, right? But
They're
like
better than that.
the COVID team,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Emmy
Yeah.
scoring basically every game for most of the season.
Yeah, you're right. But like that team had like a stingy defense. It had an aggressive defense.
Until the last like 3 or 4 games, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean, right? Like, yeah, that's it. Like, I just defensively, I look at this team and I think that's where like a lot of my problems start with. Because like offensively, like, all right, cool. You know, this team, they can rate chances. We've seen that. Everybody's back. All right, cool. But like defensively, this team just doesn't have aggressive players enough to play those positions to close out games and win you matches, right? Like,
Yeah. By the way, your answer is 24 of those games with 2 or more goals.
there you go, folks. There you go. You know, and I'm sorry, it's just not good enough, man. Like, if you're going to be a team that's be leaking in the back defensively, it's like, okay, cool. You go look at like a team like Charlotte, what they did. They went all offense. They were leaking in goals left, right, and center, right? They had a goalkeeper stand on top of his head, but they were able to have Rolls Royce quality as players on the pitch, and they could go out there and score 2-3 goals, right? Or go look at the Tormented team that won the title, right? Like, they were able to go do that, but they had a defense that was leaky. Richmond can't do that because we keep getting told, which, by the way, here's a little plug. Have you guys seen the YouTube video about the youth players? That was really good. Put me in a good place before the game. All that got thrown out the window during this match, but that's besides the point. If you know you cannot go get those kind of players on offense, it still boggles my mind why this team won't be more pragmatic. Like, if you don't have your own players have said it. I'm not making this up. If you know you don't have guys that are the fleet of foot, why put them in positions where they are getting stretched? And just make it compact. You've played when you have given up less possession. Like the numbers don't lie. When you've given up less possession, you have played better. The moment you guys start possessing more and get stretched, you guys have played worse.
In fairness, part of, that can't be done in a vacuum because I think what it comes down to is being able to dictate state of play, right?
Yeah,
like
that's true.
if the other teams, are also trying to not have the ball, like who's better at being able to do that. Also, when we get behind, which unfortunately happens frequently, of course, you're going to have the ball more when you're losing, because other teams are going to be generally more defensively sound. You're going to be chasing the game a little bit more. You can't just cede possession, play 60-40 style, because that's really limiting your chances to come back. So I totally hear what you're saying with that, but it's not as simple as just saying, okay, well, let's just aim for 45% possession instead, because if the other team's trying to do that too, well, 10%'s got to come from somewhere.
Yeah,
right.
no,
You have to move the play more quickly. It's like,
right.
That's the point, is the fact that like the solution is not, okay, well, I guess we have the ball now. Like, the solution is play your game anyway, which involves not stringing together 40 passes in a row. Once you start getting to that, and that's the problem, is they seem happier to string those passes together than to just work quickly. If the ball goes out because you're taking too many shots, that's fine. Like, that's the frustrating part, is like, it feels like a safety blanket to settle back. Like, okay, well, if we have possession, they don't. Well, you do nothing with that possession. So it really is ultimately meaningless how many passes you string together. That's what's frustrating, is there doesn't seem to be that initiative to. It's not about lowering to me at least, it's not about lowering the possession numbers. It's about your spells of possession should be shorter, because you should be taking them more aggressively instead of relying on a slow buildup and choosing to play the safer pass to maintain possession rather than the higher risk pass that might lead to an opportunity. So I don't know how much of that is the players themselves on the field due to this bad run of form, or how much it's being dictated by the tactics themselves. Like,
I definitely think it's the second part, because all of a sudden at the start of last year, the talk suddenly became we need to become a possession team. So, which again in theory can work, but yeah, my bigger point was just like being able to dictate how you want to play, not have it be dictated to you, and a lot of times it's being dictated to us of, all right, we're gonna structure our defense and let you cycle it over and over again, because we know that's what you'll do.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to be like anti tiki taka or anything like that. Like,
You should be, because it's boring to watch.
you gotta adjust what you're doing.
Tiki taka is not playing long passes between your center backs. Tiki taka is moving the ball quickly up the field and moving it too quickly for the defense to be able to it is aggressive style of play. So that's what's frustrating, is they're not even playing tiki taka. They're playing fucking Burnley ball. Like, this is not even exciting, because like a possession based game, tiki taka is not possession based. It's meant to move the ball very quickly before the defense has the opportunity to react. It's at its heart aggressive. It's at its heart attempting to create opportunities rather than maintain possession. So I think that's frustrating as well. If it was tiki-taka, I would be standing up and clapping, but it's not. It's boring. It's unimaginative, and it's meaningless.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, we got next upcoming game against Lexington, another team that's in a bad, like, outside, maybe the three teams in the bad spell of form are us, Fuego, and Lexington. And we play Lexington. And I swear, if Lexington come out there and be like, you know what, this is the game where we score 4 goals. I gotta laugh because, woo, boy.
We'll have to create our own purple and gold army, or whatever the Glazers out movement is. Green and yellow. We'll have to start doing that.
Let's just hope we don't have that ref from last year who called a cure for that PK for punching the ball over somebody's head.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's the game that irritated me so much, because we really could have won that game. And also Neil had so many chances. And you know what? Good vibes.
Positivity era starts today.
But yeah, like they're in a worse spot than even we are right now. Yeah. So, well, technically not a must win. Kind of feels like it's a.
Oh no, it's a must win. I'm putting must win.
Points have to come from somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, it's a must win. Like, you know what? It's a must win. It doesn't even have to be a win technically. Keep a clean sheet. I will take a 0-0 and I will celebrate it like a 5-0 win.
We heard it here right now.
I will celebrate it. Like, listeners, look. Last night in Section O, it was rough. And we ride or die with this team. And we love this team passionately. That's why we do this. And if you're listening, you feel the same way. And I feel like that old man who's like have the umbrella out over his wife, where it's just raining, where it's like, I'm mad at you, but it doesn't mean I stop loving you. Because even though I was ready to walk out after the second goal, and I told everyone bye. What I do, Matt, 5 minutes later.
5 minutes later, all of a sudden, you turn around like, oh, hey, you're back.
It's like, I can't believe you. Because somewhere in my psyche, in my dumb psyche, I was like, you know what, they could turn around. They could pull something out of nowhere.
Brokeback kickers.
God. I can't quit this team. I just can't.
No, but what's crazy, what is crazy is I definitely saw some tweets of like, oh, well, maybe you should root for a team that scores goals. Well, I don't pick my team based on what's convenient. I don't pick my team based on records. This is my city. This is my team. Some of us aren't glory hunters who are in the club is nothing but a collection of win-loss records, but it's a community, and the people on the, involved in the club from top to bottom are who matter more. So at the end of the day, the win-loss records, we care about them. Obviously, we're talking about them here on this podcast, but the reason we support this team is not because of the win-loss records, but because of when you support a team, it's part of your community. So I take issue with anyone tweeting with having that attitude towards the teams that they support, that it's something that you just pick off of whether or not, you like their jersey, you think their jersey is sick, or whether or not, they've had a winning record over the last few seasons. So
and the team can score. We've seen it. They can't defend. It's like Turnstile defended. They just let everyone through. It's like, what was that video? I'm pretty sure y'all have seen it. I'm like, the security guy, like, yeah, all right, come on. Like, that's what we have right now. That's the mentality on defense. That's just the frustrating part. I'm sorry. We're going to stop talking about the frustration.
But no, we saw, Kate fighting the good fight online last night. My thing is, if you're going to come at, make fun of us, like, come with better material. It's like, oh, your team loses. You're muted, by the way. And it's like, oh, we lost a lot of games in a row. Yeah, we know. We were there for this.
Yeah.
This isn't news.
Like, oh, we don't lose in Richmond. Okay, great.
Cool. Also, kickers have never lost in your current stadium.
Yeah.
For the record.
Yeah.
And we at least draw a crowd for it. So,
we're not the team who gave up a goal to Luke Pavone. Just want to put that out there.
Ooh. Yeah.
I love Luke. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, you got to get super like Greenville sold their soul to be good this year.
Can you have a soul in South Carolina?
That's a level that I don't want to go to because there's a lot of nuance to that answer. Not gonna go there.
I mean, there's not. But I know what you mean. But no, there's not a lot of nuance to that answer.
Yeah, it's not. So yeah, we played Lexington, and oh boy, it's gonna be interesting, man. Like defensively, and I know like a lot of people want to, put the onus on Darren, and rightfully so. Like 60% of it's on Darren and the coaching staff because it's like, yo, you can fix these. Like these are things that are deemed fixable.
/ they pick the players.
Yeah, but once the players are on the field, it's on the players, and the effort, like it's just not there. It's not, and hopefully it shows against Lexington because right now, like you're eliminated from the cup. Put all the effort into the league now. Like all effort should be truly put into getting that 8th seed.
Oh, one more snarky quasi cheap shot. Not eliminated from they could win the wild card. Okay, now I'm done.
No, absolutely not. If this team wins the wild card, I will dye my hair red. I want everyone to hold me accountable. If the Kickers win the wild card in the Jägermeister Cup, I will dye my hair red. I will gladly do it.
I'll pay for the stuff.
Yeah, like but yeah,
just on top or like the full.
Oh, I want full red. Like I'll do Henry.
Good. Okay.
Full red.
All right, but yeah, everything now, like honestly, the attention just needs to be put in the league. Like the last 2 Jägermeister games,
play the 20s.
Yeah, like don't play the starters. Like use it as you know how you use the Lion Bridge game to play the backups. Play Landon, play Becca Howe wherever he's at. Dave Cox, Nick Simmons, Arthur Boshua. God knows where he's been at. I don't know. He hasn't been on the bench the last 2 weeks. Throw him out there.
Looking for blood diamonds? I don't know.
Okay. Like just
James Snedden, your time is now.
Yeah, like don't play anyone. Like if they have a slight injury, do not put them on that field for the Jägermeister game at all. Like I don't care about it. Like,
and when we score 12 goals, and when Griffin Garnett scores a hat trick of headers off a corner kick, and
I will tell Darren, you can dye my head red. Let's go. Well, yeah, put all the attention out into the league about like that's where the attention should shift to, like getting into the playoffs. That's what this team is going to be judged on. You know.
Yeah.
We'll pull a Gotham, eke into the last playoff slot on the very last league match of the season, go on and win the whole thing. We just need a really messy divorce. Someone has to just commit to getting very messily divorced and using that and entering their Beyonce Lemonade era and using that to propel them to the leadership that we've been missing through the rest of the season and then ultimately end on a high.
Not going to touch that one. I was just going to say we could settle for a 2005 kickers. Okay, well they didn't start strong this time around, but Flatter got in. Like I think it was the next to last match day, 6th seed, first round. The playoffs had to go out to Van. This is back in the day where they did home and homes. In the playoffs, still first game at home against Vancouver 0-0. Second game out in Vancouver 0-0. Advance on penalties. Come back. Second semifinals. Rochester beat them 3-1, tied 1-1 with a brawl at the end of the second leg of the second game. Make it to the final. Go out Seattle 1-1, and we're not going to talk about how penalties went there, but got in by the absolute finest of margins, worked their way all the way to the finals with a lot of draws.
Yeah.
And we've seen this team 14 out of 15 very good at penalties.
Yeah.
Well, I like my way better. I do like my way better. And I think that it would help grow the Kickers as an international brand.
I'm not looking to ruin anybody's personal life.
Yeah, no.
No, it would happen unrelated to us. I'm not into winning marriages. We need a really messy, not like a really messy former teen drama star to get involved and break up the marriage. Really take the Kicker start onto the next level.
All right, folks. On that,
Yeah.
You guys are not following this saga. The Ashlyn Harris, Ali Krieger, Sophia Bush.
Oh, I know what you're referencing. I have nothing to add to that.
Right.
No.
It worked for Gotham. The playbook is there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell more mid-2000 stories.
Yeah.
We'll keep going back and forth.
All right, well, listen, listeners. As always, we just want to say thank you for taking the time of your day for listening to our podcast. Because honestly, without you, we couldn't do this. This year has been long for us. I think we average around 34 to 35 episodes. We already hit that peak covering Ivy as well. We're about to hit 50 episodes already this season. So we just want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. I won't be on for the next 2 weeks because I got my anniversary and my in-laws anniversary as well. So Matt and Kate will be doing the show. Well, luckily, the next 2 weeks they'll be able to talk about happy things, a bunch of goals, and good defensive performances. So, with that being said, as always, hope you guys have it easy. Go outside, touch some grass. Let the stress go. Don't kill yourself over this game, literally and figuratively. And just know, we always love the Roos, but it's okay to be upset at them from time to time. We'll see you guys next week. Be easy and be safe.